You wake up one day and think, wait, where did all my energy go? The strange part is physics says energy can't just disappear. So here's the puzzle. If the energy in the universe is conserved, why does your energy seem to drain as the years go by? That question leads us somewhere surprisingly deep into time, disorder, and the quiet rules that run everything, including you. Welcome to the channel. This is where we take big, unsettling ideas from physics and break them down the way a curious human would, clearly, honestly, and without dumbing them down. Stick with me till the end, because once you see what's really happening to your energy, you'll never think about aging the same way again. And if you enjoy learning physics through questions rather than equations, go ahead and subscribe. There's a lot more wonder ahead. Let's start with a very stubborn idea in physics, one of the most reliable ideas we have. Energy does not disappear ever. You can move it, transform it, hide it in strange places, but you can't get rid of it. Nature keeps very strict books. Now here's the puzzle. When you're young, you seem full of energy. You can stay up late, bounce back quickly, run, think, build, recover. As you get older, that energy feels like it's leaking away. So we're tempted to say, I'm losing energy. But physics raises an eyebrow and says, no, you're not. So where does it go? Imagine you have a brand new wind-up toy. You wind it carefully, place it on the table, and let it go. At first it zooms around, motion everywhere. After a while it slows down and stops. Did the energy vanish? Of course not. It became tiny vibrations in the table, gentle warming of the air, microscopic motion you can't easily see. The energy is still there, it's just spread out. That's the key idea. When we say something has energy, what we usually mean is that the energy is organized in a useful way. A raised weight, a stretched spring, a charged battery, a young, healthy body. The organization lets energy do something noticeable. Your body is like a beautifully complicated machine that keeps energy organized, chemical energy and food turned into motion, repair, thinking, heat, and growth. When you're young, the machine is excellent at keeping that energy focused where it's needed. But the laws of physics quietly insist on something else happening at the same time. Every time energy is transformed, every muscle movement, every heartbeat, every thought, some of that energy becomes less organized. It turns into random molecular motion, heat. You feel warm because energy is escaping in a very democratic way, shared among trillions of particles with no particular purpose left. Think of it like money. If all your money is in one wallet, you can buy something. If the same amount of money is scattered as pennies across a city, it still exists, but good luck using it. So aging is not about having less total energy. The atoms in your body contain just as much energy as ever. What changes is how concentrated and controllable that energy is. Your body constantly fights this spreading. That fight itself requires energy. Over time, maintaining the same level of organization becomes harder, not because nature is cruel, but because nature is consistent. This is why resting doesn't magically restore youthful energy. Rest reorganizes some energy locally, but it doesn't reverse the overall trend. Physics doesn't allow a free rewind. So when you feel low on energy, it's not that the universe took something away from you. It's that the energy has paid its toll to reality, doing work, keeping order for a while, and slowly slipping into places where it's still real, just no longer useful. And that simple idea, energy conserved, usefulness not, is the doorway to everything that comes next. Let's talk about something that sounds abstract but quietly runs your entire life, order and disorder. Take your room. You can start with it clean, everything in its place. Then you live in it for a week. Shirts migrate to chairs, paper spread across the desk. Objects you just had asterisk seem to vanish. Nothing mysterious happened. You didn't try to make a mess. Disorder simply won. Now, here's the important part. You never walk into a messy room and find it has accidentally cleaned itself. That one-way tendency from order to disorder is not psychology or laziness. It's physics. In physics, we give this idea a careful name, entropy. Entropy is not chaos in a dramatic sense. It's a quiet statistical fact. There are far more ways for things to be disordered than ordered. That's it. No drama required. Imagine a box divided into two halves, with all the air molecules on one side. Remove the divider. The molecules spread out. Why? Not because they want to, but because there are vastly more arrangements where they're spread out than where they're neatly packed. Going back would require an astronomically unlikely coordination of motion. That's entropy at work. Now think about your body. You are not a static object. You're a moving, repairing, self-organizing system. Your cells constantly sort molecules, build structures, maintain gradients, and correct errors. That's extraordinary. But it comes at a cost. To keep order inside, your body must create more disorder outside. Every breath you take, every calorie you burn, every repair your cells perform releases heat and waste. You're exporting entropy to your surroundings. You stay organized by making the world around you slightly more disordered. When you're young, this process runs smoothly. Energy flows in, order is maintained, repairs are fast, and mistakes are corrected quickly. It feels effortless, but it isn't free, it's just well-funded. Over time, two things happen. First, tiny imperfections accumulate. No repair process is perfect, and physics doesn't allow perfection for long. Second, maintaining the same level of order requires more energy than before. The system becomes less efficient at pushing disorder outward. Here's a helpful picture. Imagine trying to keep a sandcastle intact while waves keep washing over it. At first you can patch it easily. Later the structure weakens, and every repair costs more effort. The ocean hasn't changed, the rules haven't changed, but the structure has aged under those rules. Entropy doesn't mean things fall apart suddenly. It means that holding things together is always a temporary victory. And here's the subtle but beautiful point. Life does not violate entropy. Life depends on it. The flow of energy from concentrated sources like sunlight or food toward dispersed heat is what powers everything living. You're not fighting physics, you're surfing it. Aging then is not a failure of will or vitality. It's the long-term bookkeeping of order versus disorder. For a while the numbers work in your favor, eventually the balance shifts. So when we talk about the price of staying organized, we're talking about a fundamental rule of the universe. Order is precious because it's rare, temporary, and expensive. And understanding that makes aging less mysterious and strangely more honest. Now let's ask a question that sounds simple but refuses to behave. Why does time only move one way? You remember the past, not the future. You grow older, not younger. Eggs fall and break, but you never see a broken egg leap back onto the table and reassemble itself. And yet here's the odd thing. The basic laws of physics don't really care which way time points. If you write down the equations for motion, for atoms colliding, even for electricity and magnetism, they mostly work just as well forward as backward. Film two atoms bouncing off each other, run the movie in reverse, and nothing looks illegal. Physics shrugs and says, seems fine. So where does this strong feeling of a one-way direction come from? Let's start with something ordinary. Imagine a glass of ice water sitting on a table. The ice melts, the water warms, and eventually everything reaches room temperature. That feels completely natural. But the reverse room temperature water suddenly freezing itself into ice cubes while pulling heat out of the room never happens. Why not? It's not forbidden by energy conservation. The energy would still add up. What stops it is probability. The melted state corresponds to an enormous number of microscopic arrangements of molecules. The frozen orderly state corresponds to very few. Going from ice to water is a move from unlikely to likely. Going back would require an astonishing coordination of molecular motion possible in principle, but so improbable that the universe will almost certainly die of old age before you see it happen. That statistical imbalance is what gives time its arrow. Time points in the direction where entropy increases, where energy spreads out and systems move toward more probable states. That's not a philosophical preference, it's a counting problem. There are simply more ways for things to be messy than neat. Now here's the deeper connection to aging. Your body is a record-keeping machine. Every moment it stores information. Chemical changes, neural connections, scars, memories. The past leaves traces, the future does not. Because traces require irreversible processes, and irreversible processes increase entropy. You remember yesterday because yesterday increased entropy in your brain. Tomorrow hasn't happened yet, so there are no physical records of it. This also explains why time feels like it's speeding up as you age. Early in life, everything is new. Your brain is making lots of fresh records, strong contrast, sharp changes. Later, fewer things stand out, not because time itself changed, but because your interaction with it did. Here's a helpful image. Think of time like a river flowing downhill. The river doesn't care about your age, it flows because of gravity. Entropy is that gravity. You can swim, you can splash, you can build temporary structures, but the overall direction is fixed. Physics does not say the past causes the future in a mystical sense. It says the present is built on a pile of irreversible changes that can't be undone without violating probability on a cosmic scale. And that's why aging feels inevitable. It's not written into your personality or your mindset. It's written into the same rule that melts ice, mixes cream into coffee, and erases footprints in sand. Time moves forward because disorder is more likely than order. Memory, aging, and cause and effect all ride on that one quiet statistical fact. Once you see that, time stops being mysterious and starts being very, very honest. Let's look at living things from a slightly unsettling angle. Not as souls or spirits or even organisms at first, but as machines that process energy. That may sound cold, but stay with me, because it turns out to be wonderfully illuminating. Imagine a candle. You light it, it burns steadily, gives off light and heat, and eventually it goes out. While it's burning, it looks active and alive in a way, doing something. But all it's really doing is taking concentrated chemical energy in the wax and turning it into dispersed energy in the air. Now here's the surprising part. In a very real physical sense, you are doing the same thing, just with far more sophistication. You take in energy in an organized form, food, oxygen, sunlight, indirectly packaged by plants, inside your body. That energy is carefully routed. Some of it becomes motion, some repairs cells, some maintains delicate chemical balances, and a large portion leaks out as heat, warming the room, whether you intend to or not. You are not a closed system. That's crucial. Closed systems drift toward disorder and eventually stop doing anything interesting. Living things stay alive precisely because they are open systems. They constantly pull energy in and push entropy out. That's what metabolism really is. Not burning calories in a fitness sense, but a controlled flow of energy through an organized structure. As long as the flow continues, the structure holds. Here's a helpful analogy. Picture a fountain. Water flows in, rises into beautiful shapes, and falls away. The fountain looks stable, but the water molecules are constantly changing. Stop the flow, and the fountain vanishes. The structure was never permanent. It existed only because energy was moving through it. Life works the same way. Your cells are not fixed objects. Their molecules are replaced, recycled, rebuilt. Even much of what you think of as you is temporary scaffolding, maintained by energy passing through at just the right rate. So why does this machine change with age? Because no machine runs perfectly forever, not because of poor design, but because of physics. Every transformation of energy introduces small inefficiencies, tiny errors, slight misplacements. Most are corrected, some are not. Over time, the cost of keeping everything aligned increases. Early on, the energy flow easily covers the maintenance. Repairs are quick, systems are flexible. Later, more of the incoming energy is spent just keeping things from falling apart, leaving less available for growth, resilience, or rapid recovery. It's like running an old factory. The power supply might be the same, but more of it goes into fixing belts, lubricating gears, and patching cracks than into producing new output. And importantly, this is not a failure of biology. It's a triumph. The fact that living systems can delay disorder for decades is astonishing. Physics would happily allow chaos to arrive much sooner. Life does not defeat entropy, it negotiates with it. Temporarily. Elegantly. So when we say living things are temporary energy machines, we're not diminishing life. We're recognizing how remarkable it is that a collection of atoms can borrow energy from the universe, organize itself, think, feel, ask questions, and then return that energy a little more spread out than before. You are not losing energy because you are alive. You are alive because energy is passing through you. And like all beautiful machines powered by the laws of nature, the motion itself is the miracle. Let's now clear up the biggest misunderstanding of all, the one that quietly sneaks into almost every conversation about aging. We say, I don't have the energy I used to, but physics says that's not quite right. You don't lose energy. What you lose is the ability to use it easily. Think about a hot cup of coffee. When it's fresh, it can do something interesting. It can warm your hands. Leave it on the table long enough, and it cools down. Did the energy disappear? No, it spread into the room. The room got very slightly warmer, but not in a way you can take advantage of. That's the pattern. Energy starts concentrated. Over time, it becomes dispersed. And dispersed energy is still real, but it's boring. It doesn't push, lift, run, or repair. Now apply that idea to a living body. Your body contains an enormous amount of energy locked inside chemical bonds. That doesn't change much with age. The atoms are still energetic. The calories still add up. But what changes is how directed that energy can be. When you're young, energy flows through well-defined channels. Muscles respond quickly. Cells repair cleanly. Signals are sharp. A small push produces a big result. Physicists would say the energy gradients, the differences that drive motion, are steep and well-maintained. Over time, those gradients flatten. Not catastrophically. Gradually, every action you take spreads energy a little more. Every repair introduces tiny imperfections. Every process leaks heat. None of this is dramatic, But it's relentless because the universe always prefers energy to be shared out rather than focused. Here's a helpful image. Imagine a brand new battery. All the chemical energy is neatly arranged, so electrons are eager to move in one direction. As the battery runs, the chemicals mix into a more uniform state. The energy is still there, but the push is gone. You can't get work out of it anymore. Aging works like that, not emptying the battery, but evening it out. This is why you can eat the same food and still feel less energetic than before. The input hasn't vanished. The output pathways have become noisier, less efficient, more expensive to maintain. And here's the subtle, important point. This is not personal. It's not about motivation, discipline, or mindset. Those things matter for many reasons, but they don't rewrite thermodynamics. Physics allows you to borrow order for a while, as long as you pay it back with interest in the form of dispersed energy. Youth is when the loan terms are generous. Later, the payments get steeper. But notice something remarkable. Even late in life, your body still performs a miracle every moment. It keeps billions of reactions coordinated, maintains temperature, repairs damage, and supports thought and awareness, all while obeying the same rules as rocks and stars. So aging is not energy loss, it's energy bookkeeping. The universe never says you're done. It only says everything must spread. And within that rule, life manages to carve out decades of structure, meaning, curiosity, and experience. That doesn't make aging tragic. It makes it honest. You are not running out of energy. You are watching energy complete its journey from tightly focused usefulness to quiet equilibrium. And the fact that you got to do anything interesting along the way is, from a physicist's point of view, astonishing. So let's step back and see the whole picture clearly. Your energy doesn't vanish as you get older. Physics won't allow that. What changes is how organized, concentrated, and usable that energy is. Living means taking in energy, shaping it briefly into motion, thought, repair, and meaning, and then letting it spread out again. Aging isn't a failure of the system, it's the system doing exactly what the laws of nature require. Entropy slowly increases. Energy becomes less focused. Time moves forward because disorder is more likely than order. And life itself is a remarkable temporary arrangement that rides this flow instead of fighting it. Seen this way, aging isn't mysterious or cruel, it's honest physics. The real wonder isn't that energy fades, but that the universe allows atoms to stay organized long enough to ask questions about themselves at all. If you enjoyed this way of looking at physics, clear, curious, and grounded in real ideas, consider subscribing to the channel. There's a lot more to explore, and we'll keep uncovering it one honest question at a time. Thanks for spending this time thinking along with me. I really appreciate your curiosity and your willingness to sit with questions that don't have quick or comfortable answers. That's where the fun usually is. If this sparked a new way of looking at the world, that's the best outcome I could hope for. There's always more to wonder about and plenty more strange, beautiful physics waiting just beneath the surface. I'll see you in the next video.